Today I'm reading more of my viewers' craziest stories while playing Minecraft. These ones were pretty insane, I cannot lie. This first one is titled, Nearly Died at Night at My Friend's House. This happened about a year ago. Me and 3 other friends were staying at that one friend's house. It was about 12:30 at night, and we decided to go out in the forest right behind his house. Just the 4 of us with 2 flashlights. My friend lives pretty deep in the countryside away from the town, and his friends owned a part of the forest we were in. Anyway, we explored it for about 10 minutes before strange things started happening. First we heard leaves rustling behind us, which we assumed were just small animals. Then we started to hear footsteps behind us, which really started to freak us out. But we assumed it was just one of us trying to troll each other. Finally, I swear to you on my life, we turned around and saw a man wearing all black. And he looked massive, well over 6 feet tall. His face was covered and he just stood there and looked at us. I'd say he was about 20 feet from us. We all looked at each other and dead sprinted back to the house. When we got back to the house, we locked the door behind us and looked back. There was no sight of him. I don't know if we were just hallucinating due to the lack of sleep or what, but this scared the living crap out of all of us. We've been back in the forest a couple of times since then, and we've never seen this man again. Here's the thing, dude. If this was hallucination, what are the odds of all 4 of you seeing this? What are the odds of 4 different living, breathing beings seeing something and it just being a hallucination? Unless you're all under the influence of like the same type of mustard gas or something, the odds of that are pretty slim. You probably saw someone. You probably saw someone who was up to no good. And honestly, I don't know why you would go back into that forest to look for him. Sounds like a very terrible idea, and I would very much advise against doing stuff like that. But I'm glad you're all okay, and stay away from the forest. Now, before I get into this next one, this story includes a discussion of very sensitive mental health topics, so viewer discretion is advised. This one is titled, I'm the Reason My Friend Killed Himself. Okay, that is intense. Back when I was around 9 years old, I had a friend called Jimmy, who was the same age as me, and he lived very close to my house on a farm. We went to the same school, and because of how close we were, we saw each other a lot. One day, I went to his house. He told me that he would have intercourse with his sister, who was around 6 at the time. I didn't truly believe it when he told me, and I thought it was just trying to seem cool in a weird way. I brushed it off, but one day, when I went to his house, I walked into his room and saw him and his sister doing the deed. I was in shock because I'd never seen anything like that in person. He then turned around, smiled at me, and asked me if I wanted to join in. I said no, and I left his house instantly. I tried to forget what I saw, but I couldn't. I didn't say anything for years, but after about 2 years, I spoke up. I told people at school about it, and word spread fast. A few days later, I found out he had taken his life because of how people at school were treating him. The reason I ended up telling people was because of everything he kept saying to me. The only thing I'll say here was that it started because he showed her porn, and she said it looked fun and wanted to try it. And he also did things with animals. I still to this day do not feel any guilt. This is so difficult and scary and traumatic in so many ways, man. I mean, where do I begin here? Like, there's no way in hell that a 9-year-old will ever be equipped to handle this situation in any capacity. Because seriously, what do you do, like, as a kid witnessing something like this? Because in most cases, at 9 years old, you don't really fully understand what's happening. I, as an adult, don't even know what I would do and how I would bring this up to anyone. How do you bring up that a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old are doing it and then are also siblings? Because they watched videos on the internet. Porn is just so dangerous, man. I was also exposed to it at a very young age, especially when I was a kid. The internet was still in its Wild West stage, I think, a little bit. I think now we're past the excuse, man. Parents need to be a lot more involved in what their kids are seeing on the internet. They need to be a lot more educated. Any parents that are watching this video, I really hope some of you are. Please monitor what your kids are watching and what they're doing, and just try your best to keep them away from this stuff, because it is a real problem. And if things like this are a possibility, it's not an excuse anymore. It's not an excuse that you don't know how to use the technology. You learn how to use it for your kids' safety. Okay, that's all I have to really say about that. As far as you're concerned, man, I hope that you've told your parents about this. I hope that you're possibly seeing some sort of a psychiatrist or a therapist of some sort. I don't even really feel comfortable commenting on this too much any further. What I'm going to say is, it's a good thing that you told people. Jimmy taking his life is not your fault, okay? You can't put that on yourself. There really isn't much else you could have done here. There's not much else that would have made this go smoothly without you also being severely affected by this. The only thing that would have been better here, I think, would have been for you to talk to an adult instead of the kids at school. and you let me know in the comments below. I genuinely don't have another thing to say about this. I just hope that you're okay, and I wish you the best of luck. And before I go any further, if any of you watching this need any sort of mental health support, I'm going to leave some resources in the description below. And now we can continue with the next story. This one is titled, "A dude in my friend group acted like a jerk to everyone, so I got rid of him." Okay, I'm hoping this doesn't mean that you killed him or something. So a guy we'll call Jack, he was one of my oldest friends. We were friends for years until 2 years ago when he started making everyone go against me, slowly begging my friends to kick me out of the friend group. My friends weren't having it, so they didn't listen to him, thankfully. After a year of not telling anyone and this still going on, one of my friends was caught saying stuff which I won't share. But to me, it was nothing serious. We were in middle school, so yeah, everyone was stupid, and they made it look overdramatic. So Jack did the same thing with my friend. He told everyone to kick him out, and no one agreed, so nothing happened. But finally I told my friend about what he had been doing all year. He believed me, so he wanted Jack out. The other friends weren't convinced, so they also didn't agree. But some of them did. So we had a quote-unquote beef, you could say. But at the end of the year, we decided, why not prank him? It wasn't something crazy. We were just having water fights, basically, and teamed up on him. He took it way too seriously. He threw my friend into a pool which was dirty, and he got a cut on his leg, and he still has that scar to this day. Everyone turned on him, and he even threatened us that he would throw a glass bottle at us. After that, we cut communication, but it was like a puppy following us, acting like it was in the friend group. So I had enough. I tripped a girl beside him, breaking her leg, and I blamed it on him. Everyone in the school hated him, and after that he moved. I regret this decision because it was so stupid, but back then it seemed like the only way. The teachers loved him and always took his side. I thought I had to get rid of him no matter what the cost. I never told anyone about this, but I think there was a better way of doing it. Thanks for reading this. There was definitely a better way of doing it. First of all, this poor girl whose leg was broken, why did there have to be collateral for this? But I understand there being beef in the friend group. I understand that he was annoying and you wanted to get rid of him and this and that. But this seems a little cruel in terms of a way to get rid of him. Like, framing him for doing something that he didn't do in the first place is a very shitty thing to do. Even if he was trying to get you kicked from the friend group, no matter what he did, framing someone and assassinating their character when they haven't done the thing they're being accused of is a very awful thing to do to someone. Like, imagine he had done this to you. Now, you say you regret this, whatever the case may be, but look, if you don't ever talk about it, this is something you're going to have to live with and be guilty about for the rest of your life. Then again, telling someone about this, I don't know if that ends well for you either at this point. The best way to really deal with something like this is to kind of just let it unfold on its own. Let karma do the work. Because you guys had already gotten him out of the friend group. Yes, he was tagging along and making it seem like he was still part of it, but deep down, you all know that he's not really your friend, and eventually you could just straight up tell him, get out of here, don't talk to us, don't come near us, whatever the hell the case may be. Use your words first, and even if he became violent or something like that, what is he going to do, fight all of you? I don't think so. He's going to get his ass kicked. Strangely enough, I've been in a similar situation before, where a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, when we were younger, and I had a falling out, and he tried to basically badmouth me to everyone in our friends group and our close friends. And that ended up backfiring on him because everyone knew the truth about what had happened in a given situation. Everybody knew my character and knew his character, so it was basically as simple as letting things happen on their own. Life has a weird way of sorting itself out like that. Now, all things considered, don't hurt other people in order to get your agenda passed, okay? That girl breaking her leg was definitely not worth whatever the outcome is here. In any case, I hope you've learned from your mistake. This one is titled The Cheese/Diarrhea Incident of October. Okay, interesting. At the school I used to attend, there was a bus driver who nobody liked. I had a few friends, specifically 2 on that one day, me, 7th grade at the time, and my friends, both 6th graders. Now, although the school called it a bus, it was really a carpool with a driver they hired, that's all. Now, there were multiple occasions that caused this incident to happen. These are just some of the ones I can immediately think of first. Number 1, I was having an allergic reaction and struggling to breathe, and the driver laughed it off. Number 2, the same thing happened to my friend, and the driver laughed it off too. And number 3, although not as bad, he didn't let me refill my water bottle for the half-an-hour journey because it would take too long apparently. It would have taken a minute at most. Now 3 does sound okay at first, but the best part is that we weren't even moving yet. Still just sitting at the parking lot waiting for the last kid to get there. On that very day, we decided we had enough of the disrespect. Now our school cafeteria had 2 special things on its menu: fried macaroni and tea bottles. I bought both that day, and we decided to crush up the macaroni and add the tea to it. Then it formed into an oily ball of despair, and while the driver was out of the car, we dumped it onto his seat. When he came back, he was pissed. We called it the cheese incident because the ball looked like a clump of cheese, and the next day, still not satisfied with the pain we have caused this man, took a few things: an ointment that had a strong smell, used for stomach aches, a strong perfume, and a few other specially prepared ingredients. I was planning on using the same macaroni from the last incident, however it was not in stock, so we had to use a wafer snack instead that we crushed up the same way. There were so many liquids that combined with the brown hazelnut wafer powder that it looked like an actual human diarrhea, and we spread it across the seat. We named this separate incident the Diarrhea Chair Incident of October, and we never technically got caught. The special solution I specifically worked on for this very moment was extremely strong as well, as when I smelled the bag it was contained in, I could smell every individual ingredient. The sugar I mixed in to attract ants, the perfume, the ointment, even the mints I dissolved in water and added into the mixture. It all hit me when I smelled that bag, and every bit of the paste went on the guy's chair. I'm not sorry, to be honest. Okay, Walter White of prank concoctions, that's an interesting story to say the least. I mean, but I don't even really know how to react to this. I mean, it sounds like the guy was an unpleasant being to be around. I'm not sure. Did he deserve this? I don't really know. I don't understand how you guys didn't get caught, but I guess there are probably a lot of kids that go through that car every day. I guess good on you for not getting caught. Prank's a prank. You did what you had to do and you got your revenge on an annoying bus driver. I'm sure complaining about him would have been a better idea first, but kids are kids. I don't know what to really say. This next one is titled, I Caught My Father Being a Gooner and Possibly a Cheater. Hi Nico, I'm a big fan. I hope you can include this story. So a few years ago, my mother left to see her mother, aka my grandma, and one day I woke up to my dad talking weirdly sexual through the phone to another woman, saying stuff like, quote, you look so cute when you get all red, end quote, or quote, especially when I push my tongue deep into your mouth, end quote. Also that same year, my father gave me his phone to search up something, and instantly got shocked at seeing that my dad was in an adult content website. This also explains why he's also kind of weird with me. I'm a boy, and my brother, groping but not going too far, slapping our butts, etc. This has been going on a few years now, and today as I'm writing this, the dude had Bluetooth on and a P video was on hold in the car's autoplay. There's a lot more to say, but I don't want to make it even longer. I'm also scared to tell my mother because they might marry soon, but I also don't want to live with the fact that my father watches adult content and is possibly a cheater. I'm planning on telling my mother once I'm 18. Still a bit of a long way, but I'm also scared. Any advice, Nico? Oh dear. Okay. Look, your dad sounds like a weird fella, especially with the acting weird towards you. As far as him watching videos, a lot of adults watch adult content, but this does not excuse the way he's acting towards you. And it also does not excuse him potentially cheating on your mom. This is what I would do. I'm not telling you this is what you should do, but this is what I would do. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but my parents are divorced. And if I had heard my dad talking to another woman and in any regard saying weird sexual stuff towards her, I would be telling my mom. That's just me. Especially if they're not married yet, I would break that news to her before they get married, because after that, things become a lot messier. Just be very careful. That's all I'm going to say about this, because this will very much ruin things within your family. Again, comments, if you have a better idea of how to go about this, please let this guy know. And that's all I'm going to say about it. This next one is titled, I Couldn't Save My Own Friend. This story happened a few years ago. I was part of this friend group and there were 6 of us just hanging out until the end of the school year. My friend, whom I'll call Barry, slowly became different. It started out small. First it was her personality. I had known Barry throughout my middle school year, so it was a bit jarring to hear her make tons of sex jokes throughout our days. I figured it was just teenage hormones kicking in and I didn't think much of it. Then she picked up vaping. Maybe this was one of those shifting points. Maybe it was a sign she was going down the wrong direction. But she started vaping and only told one of us about it. Said friend, whom I'll call Derek, was also concerned for Barry and didn't tell any of us about the vaping. I think he wanted to say something too, but afraid of bringing it up to avoid conflict. But things just became more crude and depressing throughout the year. At the end of the school year, our group had a massive fight because Barry lent one of our friends her Facebook account, and things spiraled during the argument. I thought that was the end of it, but what ended up happening was far more sinister than I expected. Out of pressure and concern, Derek told us all the things that happened with Barry after a few months of hiding it for her sake. Not only did she vape, she was groomed and involved with multiple sexual encounters with guys far older than her. These dudes were in their late 20s, messing with a 15-year-old girl, and turned her into the worst version of herself. She even stated that she enjoyed it, and sent multiple pics to Derek to show that she wasn't a coward. During those months, Derek had tried to gently warn and persuade her to stop, only to be met with aggression from her side. At the end, he reached his limit and told our friend group everything that had happened. Maybe it was the stress from the intense studying, but I cried that night just thinking about what happened to Barry. Our friend ended up contacting her parents to tell them what happened, and we decided to meet up for an offline talk. It was overwhelming to say the least. Even though her parents knew the events going on, they didn't see the proof in messages till that meetup, and they cried. Her mom was just covering her mouth, trying to grasp her words, while her dad just kept his head low down, pondering how they could taint his daughter like that. I honestly would have cried that day, but I didn't out of anxiety. While her parents took away her phone in order to get the identity of the college guys, all Barry did was cuss at Derek for revealing her secrets, promptly blocking him after hours of the meetup. Things have changed since, and I hope she's doing fine out there, but still some days I wake up feeling sweaty, remembering what happened and process it like a trauma even when it's not. I wish I had stepped in earlier, comforting her before things got wild. Okay, this is... wow. You guys really bring the heat with these stories, I cannot lie to you. First things first, this is not your fault. Even though Barry was in a very, very unfortunately bad situation, she didn't even realize it, okay? You can't... it's one of those weird situations of you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Derek tried that, right? Derek tried to get her to stop doing all these things with these guys. And then at some point, you know, he lost it and he told all of you, and then you guys told her parents. At the very least, it got out there, and yes, she might hate you guys for it, but in the long run, she's going to be thanking you for it. I don't fully understand what you meant by her parents already knew something was going on, but based on their reaction, it sounds like they didn't really know what was happening. So all things considered, you guys did what you could. Yeah, maybe it took a while, but this is somebody else's business, okay? It's not your fault that she went down this path, and it's understandable for you to not feel great about this because she's your friend, right? She's someone who has been taken advantage of by older, creepy guys. So it's okay to feel bad about it, but just know that this is not something that is on you. Hopefully Barry's doing better, and I hope you start doing better as well. This one is titled Enderman IRL. A while ago now, me and some other friends decided to go explore an abandoned barn. You had to go through 2 fields to get to it, and it was surrounded by forest, so it was quite covered up with trees surrounding it. After we explored for a while, we ended up seeing someone in there with us. I didn't get a good look at him, but one of my friends did, and he said he was wearing a hoodie and was just walking towards us, slowly. Obviously, we ran out of the barn, and we decided to explore around the place, since we didn't really want to go back in the barn. We were deciding where to go, and 2 to 3 of my friends went to the forest, leaving me with just one other friend of mine. Long story short, our other friends started walking back over to us through the field because they found nothing. Me and the other friend I was with were watching them come over when we just saw this huge black skinny figure run through the trees insanely fast. It was like 8 to 9 feet tall. We knew it was real too because as it was running past, we could hear the footsteps of whatever it was sprinting by us. None of my other friends saw it, and none of them believed us either. To this day, me and that one other friend still talk about it, and we don't know what it was. Man, I don't know what it is about a lot of you guys, but why is it when you see a person in a building that's abandoned or an entity in a building that's abandoned that you don't really know much about, that you decide to stay there and continue exploring? That's your cue to leave. That's why you explore the abandoned building, to find something interesting, cool, or scary, and then go tell a cool story about it. Not to find out exactly what it is. That is not ever the good idea. When you see the weird, crazy, spooky, scary thing, get out of there. That's it. Steer clear of whatever that was and live to tell the story. This one is titled, Do Hormones Justify This? So I live in an enclosed neighborhood where almost every kid living there goes to the same school. This catastrophic day, I invited a friend over. We'll call him Steven. We had to finish a boring odd group assignment, and so we did. After that, we decided we would go to another friend's house, we'll call him Ryan, and just exist outside for a while. We just talked for a while until late at night, when someone just said, wouldn't it be funny if we just started grabbing each other's diz? Okay, bro. This is turning super gay super fast. I know I can't justify what happened next with a one thing led to another without going into detail word by word, but I'm really grossed out by that. Whatever, we ended up showing each other's private parts and doing stuff. Involved butts, okay. And after that, we went outside and said we would suck on each other's you-know-what. Steven didn't want to because he's kind of religious, but me and Ryan had our hormones in the goddamn sky. We did that and also ended up kissing nicely. We were all friends and talked to each other like nothing happened. I kind of fantasize with this moment happening again, and I don't know if I'm writing these out too casually. Should I tell anyone or just leave it as a hormone spike situation? My boy, there's a very high chance that you are gay. I don't know how else to put this to you. I think you and Ryan like each other. Now, if you're fantasizing about it happening again, you know, I don't know if you've ever done any of that stuff with a girl before. If you have and it didn't seem that interesting, then chances are that you're gay and you like boys. Nothing wrong with that. As far as if you should tell anyone, that's very much up to you. I don't know how old you are, but yeah, you figure that one out. This next one is titled, I once cursed a bully and he ended up dead a few days later. Basically what happened is around a year ago, I was getting bullied really badly by a kid I'll just call Jim. Jim was ruthless, even going to the point where he threatened my life saying, and I quote, "I will slit your throat, faggot," end quote. It got to the point where I wanted to end my life. Of course, I did not go through with that, but sometime after, before the end of the school year, this was in 9th grade, I prayed to God that something good would happen that will make next year easier. A few days later, it turned out Jim and his dad got hit by a semi, and they both died. Still to this day, I feel guilty thinking I was the one who caused his death. I may have hated him, but to think that I possibly caused his death disturbs me heavily. Well, first things first, you didn't cause his death. The semi caused his death. Now, it's unfortunate that this kid and his dad died. Now, that considered, if you just so happen to be slightly happy about the fact that you don't have to worry about this kid anymore, I don't think anyone would blame you. Regardless, you didn't do this, has nothing to do with you. It's just a very strange coincidence, okay? This one is titled, My Best Friend's Dad Ran Me Over. Okay. So me and my best friend were riding bikes down a mountain while his dad was driving behind us. My best friend started to hold onto the side of the car to get momentum up the hill, so I did the same, but it was a mistake. As we got to the top of the hill, it went downhill drastically as it turned. As we rounded the turn, I fell off the bike and landed under the car, and the back tire ran me over. It was the most terrifying moment in my life because I thought my life was over, but somehow I walked away with only a beat up shoulder and knee, and me and my friend now joke about it and keep me away from cars while on a bike. Yeah, that is intense, man. Getting run over and living to tell the tale is pretty insane, to say the least. But you learned a valuable lesson. Don't use cars to gain momentum on a bike, because bike can go under car and vroom vroom over you. And not good at all. This one is called I Got Catfished. Back in 2024, when I was around 15, maybe 14, I was dating this girl online. We had met around 2 years prior on Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite, if you can believe it. So me and this girl were best friends for around 1 year and a half. And then I realized I had caught feelings for her. After about a month of debating whether I should tell her, I decided I should. And so I told her how I felt, and she told me she felt the same way. So me and this girl, we'll call her M, got together, and around only literally 2 months of being together, she tells me, I want to come see you. And me being a 14, 15-year-old kid with a chance to see a girl, I was like, I want to see you too, baby, on some cringy ass stuff. But she comes all the way down from North Wales to South Wales. So I tell my parents, who were out for the day, oh, by the way, my girlfriend's coming over. And they say to me, no, make her go back home. At this point, she's already on a train and had paid tickets to come see me. Now, I have autism and ADHD, so I believe what people tell me easily. I was around 15, and this girl told me she was 14. Only a year younger, not that bad. So my parents even pay for her ticket back, to which she declines. I'm scared of getting in trouble. My parents call the police and train lines to find her. They ask me for her full name, to which I tell them, and her date of birth, which I also tell them. The police did some digging and find out that not only did she catfish me, she lied about her age. I didn't get catfished in the sense that I got preyed on by an older man. A younger girl told me she was older, and I almost met up with her, and now remember how she said she was younger? She lied. She wasn't 1, not 2, but 4 years younger than me. Every day I live with the fact that I dated someone that was only 11. If it wasn't for my parents, this would have been a whole different situation, I fear. I'm lucky I found out. The second I found out, I cut contact with her to this day. My friends make jokes about this to this day, calling me all sorts of names when they know she lied about her age. I mean, heck, she even admitted to lying to the freaking police, and that's probably the only reason I didn't get absolutely cooked. I mean, I guess you didn't get catfished in the full sense, but that being said, meeting up with a stranger off the internet at 15 is never a good idea, okay? Now, if you had seen her face and been on video calls and then you told each of your parents about it and they were also in attendance, that would have made a lot more sense. However, another thing is this 11-year-old got on a train by herself, probably without telling her parents, which is also stupid on her end, right? Your parents were right to tell you not to see this girl. I mean, it very much could have been a situation where you were going to be kidnapped because, especially with your parents not being home, very, very sketchy situation. Now, as far as her lying about her age, girls lie about their age all the time. This is not a new thing. And in most cases, it is to make themselves look older. I mean, we had an issue at my university where the frat houses had to start IDing girls that went into the parties because there were 17 and 16-year-old girls that were trying to get into frat parties, posing as 18-year-olds or whatever. Now, for those of you watching, I don't know if you know anything about frat parties, but the last thing that you want to do as a 15 and 16-year-old girl is go to a frat party. Anyway, as far as you getting cooked, you would not have gotten cooked for this. She lied about her age. Also, it's 15 to 11. It's not 18 to 11. You're not an adult. You're also a kid. I don't know if you've noticed that. But I will admit, 15 to 11 is something that your friends will cook you about. It's not illegal or anything. Don't worry about that part. But, dude, before you start meeting up with strangers online, you gotta make sure you've seen their face. You gotta make sure that they're who they say they are. I mean, you knew this girl for 2 years. It's not like she completely lied to you. Holding up the facade for 2 years is a little difficult. That would be some crazy spy level shit. But as a minor, I wouldn't do that. And even as an adult, be very careful. This one is titled, I might be responsible for collapsing a bank. Okay. When I was younger, I used to live in my hometown. It was a small town away from urban areas. This town, at the time, had one bank, and it was the only financing option for people there, mostly because of their lack of knowledge of other methods. I was friends with the boy who sweeps the bank. While cycling by, I saw that he was really frustrated, and upon inquiring, I got to know that the bank hadn't paid him his wages in a while now. I offered to check with my neighbor who happened to be looking for house help. I told the neighbor about my friend, and she agreed to let him work from next month. She was curious why he wanted to change, as she knew he worked in the bank. I told her that he wasn't being paid properly, and that was that. Or so I thought. Later that evening, a huge commotion took place outside the bank, with practically the entire town standing at its doorstep demanding their money. Some people literally throwing rocks at the manager, who tried to pacify the crowd and apparently got seriously injured. Turns out there was a huge rumor that the bank was about to collapse, and I put one and one together. He could have told someone other than me, and that might have caused the distrust. The bank's owner was on vacation and could not be reached. The bank's ready cash was also gone. People came up with all sorts of conspiracies, such as the owner being murdered. The funniest part was that a beggar who needed someone to take him home every day because he was lame was apparently sprinting full speed to the bank to get his money back. Turns out the bank was fine, and it was just a rumor. But after that evening's events, there was no coming back, and the bank collapsed for good this time. Yeah, that's just kind of how fragile banks are, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know, banks only have to have 10% of the money they receive from you on hand at any given time. It's called fractional reserve banking, meaning if I put $100 in the bank, they only have to keep about 10 of those dollars, and then they can lend the rest of the money out. That's basically how banks make money. And that's fine for when the economy is fine and everything is normal and people aren't scared that their money is going to be lost, because no one's ever taking all of their money out of the bank at any given time at the same time. You might have like one person close their account and they're like, okay, give me all my money. The bank can survive me taking my $100 out. But what the bank can't survive is everyone taking their $100 out, because they only have 10 of my dollars, 10 of Joe's dollars, 10 of Mike's dollars, and then all of a sudden we're asking for all of our money. Well, they don't have it. But in general, this is all very fascinating to me, because the amount of trust we place in money and currency and banks and all that stuff, it's all just a facade. In reality, one domino effect, just like this kid here, told one woman that the bank wasn't paying its employees right. This woman then told everyone she knew. And then people started getting nervous and like, do you think the bank is like running out of money? What do we do? Let's go take our money out. And then everyone hears about it and everyone takes their money out. One little spark set the whole thing on fire. Quite fascinating and also quite scary. This one is titled Almost Caught in the Act. It was my senior year of high school, and I was picking up my girlfriend at the time from work. She got off work late at night, so by the time we got to her apartment, her parents were already asleep. It wasn't unusual for me to go inside her apartment with her while her family was sleeping. Her parents were trusting of me and liked me a lot. We went in and were chilling in her room on her bed. She had a long shift and wanted to relax and relieve some stress. We were cuddling on the bed for a while, and one thing led to another. You know how it goes. We figured it would be fine since everyone was asleep, as long as we were quiet about it. I got undressed first, but as soon as my pants went down, we hear a doorknob being turned. There was no time to react. Her mom appears in the doorway. She flicks on the light, and all there was to see was me, butt-ass naked next to my girlfriend that was still fully clothed. I wanted to jump out of the window in that moment. It was like the third floor. Her mom's eyes widened like never before. She didn't even say anything. She just turned the light back off and shut the door. We were both too stunned to speak. I quickly put my clothes back on and sat on the edge of the bed in complete silence. A few minutes later, we hear a knock on the door, and her mom talks through the door and says, quote, "I think you should go," end quote. I felt another wave of embarrassment rush over me. I say goodbye to my girlfriend and quickly leave. I didn't go back to her apartment for over a month after that, out of fear and embarrassment. Apparently her mom really wanted me to come back because she didn't want that to be the last memory she had of me. Hope you found this hilarious and thanks for the amazing vids. Oh man, it's really just the caught in 4K. I think the only saving grace here is that it was her mom and not her dad. Because you know how dads are about their daughters. It's just, oh, you might have been dead in that moment. I feel like a lot of people have stories where they almost got caught, but you really did get caught. Like, oh dear. At least you weren't mid-act or anything. It was just right at the start, because then that becomes infinitely worse. But thank you for sharing. I hope things got more normal later on. This one is titled, "I accidentally dated a gay dude. I'm a straight guy," in parentheses. I grew up in a very small and conservative town in the Midwest, and when I was around 5th or 6th grade, a kid moved into our town and I began to be friends with him. At this point in my life, I was pretty naive about the idea of different sexualities, so I didn't see us as anything more than just normal friends. But one day, I got a text from him at like 1 a.m. where he just straight up said, quote, "I like you," end quote. And thinking this was just his saying he appreciated me as a friend, I responded, quote, "I like you too. You're really chill," end quote. I guess he didn't question the casualness of the response, and I didn't question the interaction at all either, so we just kept hanging out. I thought we were friends, he thought we were dating. This went on for like 2 to 3 weeks, where we got really close until one of my friends asked why I was dating a dude. So being as innocent as I was, my friend was forced to explain gayness to me, and I had to break off the quote friendship with that gay guy, but I still got teased and bullied for it throughout my time in school. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like you kissed him or anything or did anything gay. But it's like, that's just an unfortunate thing, man, because for guys to say "I like you" to each other, I guess it's kind of gay. I don't know what to say. But thanks for sharing, dude. But I think that's all she wrote for this video. If you have any more crazy stories, I'm going to leave a new form in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, good night and good luck, everybody.